Hi, this is Tamara from mooglyblog.com, and in this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the diamond crochet hat, which is a free pattern you'll find on mooglyblog.com. Please go to the link in the description. There you will find both right and left-handed video tutorials, a link out to the written pattern, and links to all the supplies you need, as well as a link to the matching diamond crochet cowl. This pattern uses 150 to 200 yards of red heart hygge charm, which is less than a full ball, and a USI 5.5 millimeter hook. This one happens to be by Laurel Hill. You'll also need the standard crochet tools of a tapestry or yarn needle and a pair of scissors. Additionally, you can use a snap-on faux fur pom-pom like I've got shown here, or add your own pom-pom of choice, or skip it. It's up to you. This hat features two sizes, teen adult small, which is for a 20 to 22 inch head, but does stretch a little bit more than that if you like your hats a little snugger, as well as a adult large size, which fits 22 to 24 inches. Like I say, it's a very, very stretchy hat. There are also options to make it shorter for a more close beanie fit, or have a little extra length for a little bit of slouch. Let's take a look at the finished hat. Okay, here we have the teen or adult small, and it's in the slouch length, which has just a little bit extra length to it. You can see here I've got my faux fur snap-on pom-pom, which I have also linked out at the link in the description. I like this kind of pom-pom because I can take it off and set this aside and then throw my hat in the wash. Of course, if you prefer, you can use a different kind of pom-pom or no pom-pom at all. That is totally optional. This hat is made from the top down, so like I say, for length, you can adjust it to make it just the personal length for you as long as you need, which is another great feature of this hat. Like I said, it's got this great super stretchy brim, so you can really make the size and the length and everything that's fit for you. Now you can see here are the diamond crochet cables that I'll be demonstrating for you here in a minute. And you can also see the great sparkle, hopefully, in this yarn. I really enjoy using it. If you wanted to make this hat without the sparkle, a great yarn substitution would be Red Heart Soft. Now let's go ahead and get started. First, I'm going to demonstrate how to make the teen or adult small size. This pattern begins with a magic circle. I have a separate tutorial, which is linked at the link in the description if you need a closer view of this, but basically, I wrap the yarn around my finger twice towards me, go under that first loop, grab that first one I actually made further back on the finger, pull it under, I make a little slip stitch to lock it down, and then I can start crocheting. I also like to start this pattern with a chainless starting double crochet. If you don't enjoy making this chainless starting double crochet, or you struggle with it a little bit, you can use a chain 2 and then a double crochet, or a chain 3, or whichever double crochet substitute you like. Again, I do have a separate tutorial for this stitch though if you need it. I pull my hook up to the height of a double crochet, yarn over with that loop after securing the top of it with my finger, go under the loop for the magic circle, pull up that loop through, yarn over, and pull through there, and yarn over, and pull through to finish off that stitch, like so. So that is a chainless starting double crochet, and it counts as the first double crochet of this round. Then I'm just going to work 11 more double crochets in that ring, and I want to make sure that I go around the part that's still around my finger here, that's a complete circle, as well as the tail of the yarn, because that's what I'll pull on to close up this ring when I am finished with this round. I also want to note that to weave in your ends from a magic circle, a lot of people worry about it coming undone. When you weave in that end, you want to make sure to use your needle to go back and forth in both directions. Both the direction the yarn is pointing from underneath there from the inside of the hat, as well as back in the other direction. As long as you do that a few times with your end, I really find that they do stay put. So I'm just going to continue double crocheting in the ring here. Now that I've got a few stitches worked in there, I can probably pull my finger out. It'll be a lot easier. There we go. So the ring stays nice and open and flat. So far, including my chainless starting double crochet, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 made. So I've got 6 more double crochets to make, and I will see you at the end of round 1. Okay, so including that first chainless starting double crochet, I now have 12 double crochets worked into that circle. So what I can do is take my tail end here and just give it a tug. There we go, and you can see that closes up our circle nice and tight. And then I'm just going to join to finish this round here into the top of that chainless starting double crochet. If you used a chain 3, you would join to the top of the chain 3, And if you used a chain 2 and then double crocheted in the first stitch, you would join to the top of that double crochet, skipping the chain 2 and not counting it as a stitch. So there we have our first round. Now we're ready to begin round 2. First, I'm going to again make a chainless starting double crochet because that's how I like to start most of the, well, I should say the even numbered rounds of this pattern, the ones that begin with basically double crochets. Again, you can use whichever substitute you prefer. But the goal for this round is to work 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So however, again, you want to make that first double crochet is up to you, but that's one, and then I want to go back in that same first stitch, the one we joined to make a second double crochet. Then I can continue to work my way around, making 2 double crochets in each stitch. At the end of this round, we will have 24 stitches total because we had 12 in the previous round and we're working 2 in each stitch of this round. So I will see you when we get to the end of round 2. All right, so to begin round 3, we're going to start with a chain 1, and we're going to work 2 single crochets right into that first stitch, the one we joined to. So there's 1, and then right back in that stitch for number 2. Then we're going to put a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So we yarn over and go from front to back around that post, yarn over and pull up our loop, pull through 2, pull through 2. Then we're going to repeat that sequence of 3 stitches twice more. So 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1, 2, then a front post double crochet around the post of the next stitch, and then once more we put 2 single crochets in the next stitch, 1, 2, followed by a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So as soon as we've made that third front post double crochet, we are going to put just 1 single crochet in the next stitch, and then follow that with 2 front post double crochets around the next stitch. So rather than having 2 single crochets and 1 front post double crochet, now we're going to have 1 single crochet and 2 front post double crochets. So we make the 1 single crochet, then we find that next post and go around it for the first one, just as we've been doing. And then if you haven't worked 2 post stitches into a stitch before, it's not very difficult. You just yarn over and go right underneath the first one you made and get around the post there. And if you need to, you can pull that loop up a little higher so it doesn't, get pulled down by being that just a little bit lower on the post, and finish off the stitch. Then we're going to start that whole series over again. We find the next stitch, work 2 single crochets there, 1, 2, followed by a front post around, double crochet around the next stitch, like so. Then again, for the second time, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, followed by a front post double crochet around the next. Then for a third time, 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and a front post double crochet around the next stitch, like so. And then, since that's our third one there, we've got, if we look back here, we've got 2 in this one, so we've got 1, 2, 3 again. So now we know it's time for just 1 single crochet in this stitch, followed by 2 front post double crochets around the next. So there's 1 and 2. So to finish off round 3, we're going to do that whole sequence one more time, and that will take us right back to that first single crochet we made. So since you've seen me do it twice, repeat it one more time. Remember 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, then 1, 2. So I will see you at the end of round 3. Okay, so at the end of round 3, you should have worked 2 front post double crochets around that very last stitch so that you're ready to join to the first single crochet. Might have to kind of wiggle it over here to see it, but you want to join to the top of that first single crochet you made. Whoops, there we go. Like so. And that is the end of round 3, and you should have 36 stitches total. Round 4 is going to be simply double crochet again. So again, I like to start with a chainless starting double crochet, but you can use whichever method you prefer. And that goes right in that, right in that very first stitch. Let me get that hook turned around. There we go. Pull that through and finish the chainless starting double crochet. There we go. Then I am going to work another double crochet right back in that stitch again, like so. And then I'm going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. So 1 and 1. Oops, there we go. All right, then I am going to begin the repeat that takes me all the rest of the way around, which really is identical to this one. 2 double crochet in the next stitch, double crochet in the next 2. So that is our simple repeat around. 2 double crochet here in the next stitch, 1 and 2, and then double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1. Did I skip one there? I did. Whoops, let's pull that back out. There we go. 1 in that stitch, and 1 in the next. So again, another reason it's important to count your stitches. So I'll just keep repeating that 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1 all the way around. So at the end of round 4, I will have 48 stitches. So I will see you at the end of round 4. Okay, so to begin round 5, we're going to start with a chain 1, and then I'm going to single crochet in the very first stitch, the same one we joined to. Then I want to work a front post treble crochet around the last post stitch 2 rows below. So that sounds like a lot, but let's take it together. Now the previous round, of course, was all double crochets, so the post stitches were made in the previous round, and we finished off that round with 2 post stitches worked into the same stitch, if you may remember that there. So it's that second one of that pair of post stitches that we want to work around now. So to make a front post treble, I need to yarn over twice, then again find that post, go around it from front to back, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. It's a tall stitch, so it's okay to take your time working it off. Now, one other note, in that previous round where we made post stitches, when we work a post stitch around a stitch, generally that stitch is then considered worked, so we don't work into it again. However, in this round, round 5, we're going to be working into the stitches that also have post stitches worked around them, because we're still increasing, and that's just a way to sneak in some more increases on this round. That's why you generally don't work into the stitch behind the post stitch, because it would be an increase, but that's what we want. So after making that front post treble crochet, we need to work a single crochet in the next 3 stitches of the previous round, so that's our double crochet round, without skipping any behind the post stitch. So let's go ahead and just pull that forward, and we can see the top of the stitch here. That would be the next stitch. So we just go right in there for 1, 2, and 3. So we've got 3 single crochets there in our next 3 stitches, like so. So after that, we are going to front post treble crochet around the next post stitch that's 2 rows below. So we yarn over twice again, and we just find the very next one. That was the first one we worked into, so what's the next one that comes up? It's this one right here. This time it's pretty much right below us. So we go around that post and just work off our front post treble crochet, like so. Then we're going to start that repeat over again, starting with a single crochet in the next 3 stitches of the previous row. And again, we're not going to skip any behind this post stitch. So we find that next stitch that hasn't been worked into yet, single crochet in that, single crochet in the next, single crochet in the next, and then front post treble around the next stitch, 2 rows below again. So we always want to work our front post treble crochet stitches into a post stitch. So this is the one we worked into previously, so we're going to jump over to this one. And again, just go around there and work it on, off, and up. Now, you want to have worked a total, keep working this repeat, you want to have worked a total of 5 front post treble crochet stitches before we need to look at a change in our directions. So let's go ahead and do that a couple more times. Move that aside, work 3 single crochets, 1, 2, 3. Then again, front post treble around the next post stitch 2 rows below. Now we're starting to work off a little to the other side. That's okay. Just follow the path. Whoops. Let me try that again. There we go. Go around that next post stitch. So that's 4 of them. So we're going to pull that aside again. Go in the next 3 stitches rather with single crochets. 2 and 3. and then yarn over twice for our next front post treble, and this time we're going to have to reach all the way over here. And you'll notice this is another one of those pairs of post stitches. So this time we want to go around that front one, or rather the first one, excuse me, because of course that's the next one in line. So I'm just going to work that off right there, like so. And you can see now we've made 5 of our front post treble crochets. Okay, so when we go back to our instructions after we've made those 5, then we see we do one little thing different here. We need to skip the next stitch of the previous round. So as before, when we pull that aside and start working right into that next stitch, in this case we're going to skip it. Go to the next stitch after that, and from there we can begin our repeat that we're going to do again for another 5 times. We make 3 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then we front post treble crochet around the next post stitch 2 rows below. Now again we're starting our repeat, so again we find ourselves working into the second of a pair of post stitches. So that's again just a great way to make sure that you're on track and not missing any stitches. So we'll work that one on up, and then of course it's time again to pull it aside and make sure we go into the next stitch for our 3 single crochets, and we repeat that again all the way around. When we've repeated this sequence twice, there will be 2 stitches left at the very end of the round. So let's keep making that sequence, and I will see you close to the end of round 5. All right, so here I am at nearly the end of round 5. I've made 15 post stitches total with 3 single crochets worked in between each one. Now, when we get to the end of the round here, we're not quite done after that last post stitch, which of course should have been worked into that first of that pair right there that we started working in the second one. We end up in that first one. Now, if I move the stitch aside, you can see there's that stitch right there, but we end our repeat by skipping it again, remember? We always have that skipped one there at the end of our repeat. So that means we've got 2 stitches left of the round, so we're just going to single crochet in each of those. And then when we join to that first single crochet we made, of course, that puts us right back with 3 single crochets in between those 2 post stitches, which maintains our stitch pattern around. So that's the end of round 5, and you should now have 60 stitches in the round. And for the teen adult small size, that's going to be our same stitch count for the rest of the hat until we get to the brim. So after this, from round 6 on, there will be 60 stitches per round. To begin row 6, we're going to start again with a chainless starting double crochet in the very first stitch, or again, whatever double crochet substitute you would like to use. After that, we're simply going to double crochet in each remaining stitch around. So again, however you like to start your round of double crochets is fine. Just for round 6, make sure you double crochet in every stitch around. Again, it doesn't matter if it's a single crochet or a post stitch, you just work under those top 2 loops. So at the end of round 6, when you've got 60 double crochets made, you'll join, and then we can begin round 7 together. Okay, so at the end of round 6, we should have our 60 double crochets. We're joined and ready to begin round 7. In round 7, we're finally going to begin making our diamond pattern. We're going to start with a chain 1, and then single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to work a front post treble crochet 2 together around the first 2 post stitches 2 rows below. So again, we're just going to work right in front of those double crochets. We're going to start wrapping our yarn twice on the hook. Find that first post stitch down there, that very first one we made. Go around that one. And we're going to work our front post trebles just as we've been doing before, but we're going to stop right here when we have 2 loops left on the hook. Then we're going to yarn over again twice. Find the very next post stitch 2 rows below, and go around that one. And we keep working it off until we have 3 loops left on the hook, then we yarn over and pull through all 3 to finish off our stitch. That's our first front post treble crochet 2 together. Then we're going to skip the next stitch of the previous round right there, and we're going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. We skip the one behind the front post treble crochet 2 together because we do not want to increase anymore. We want to stick with 60 stitches in this round. So we need to skip that one behind there because we've got this stitch right here. So after we make 3 single crochets, then we do the front post treble crochet 2 together again. We yarn over twice. We're going to come back to the same one that we finished our last front post treble crochet 2 together in. This one right here, go around it again. And again, just like before, when there's already one in there, you just go right below it. Make our front post treble crochet, but again, stop when there's 2 loops left on the hook. Let me straighten that out. There we go. Like so. Then we yarn over again twice, find the next post stitch 2 rows below, and go around that one. And again, work it off until there are 3 loops left on the hook. Then we yarn over and go through all 3, like so. Make sure you skip the one behind that stitch and single crochet in the next 3. And that is our basic pattern for row 7. 3 single crochets followed by the front post treble crochet 2 together. So we just want to make sure that the first leg always goes into the same one that the last leg of the previous stitch was worked into. And you can see that starts creating the points that will help us make our triangles, or our diamond shapes, I should say. They start as triangles, sort of, but they'll become diamonds. So I'm going to continue doing that all the way around, just working evenly. Always skip the one behind the front post treble crochet 2 together. And I will see you right here when we get to the other end of round 7. Okay, so here I am almost at the end of round 7. You can see there's 1 stitch left in the previous round, and I haven't made that last front post treble crochet 2 together. I just wanted to demonstrate this one because it is just that little bit different. We're going to yarn over and start it the same way. Yarn over twice, go around the previous post stitch down there. Work that off until you've got 2 loops left. And then to finish this off, we'll yarn over, and now we're going to go around that very first one. That one that's left that we started our first front post treble crochet 2 together in. We're going to finish off by going around that one more time. Again, you can just go right underneath the previous post stitch. And then, of course, we skip that stitch right there, that very last one, and we join to the first single crochet made with our slip stitch, and that's it for round 7. Again, it should have 60 stitches total. For round 8, we're just going to repeat round 6, which, as I may recall, was just a double crochet in each stitch around. Again, 60 stitches total. So I'll see you at the end of round 8 so that we can work round 9 together. All right, so here I am at the end of round 8. It's just a simple round of double crochet, 1 in each stitch, but you can get a good look at how the hat looks so far. It's curving down a little bit into that hat shape, and we've got our points created right there. So now we're going to make round 9, and if this is going to be another single crochet and front post treble crochet 2 together row. We get to make our first round of finished diamonds here. We're going to start with a chain 1, go right back in that first stitch with a single crochet, like so, and then we are going to front post treble crochet 2 together around the last and first front post treble crochet 2 together stitches, 2 rows below. Again, a mouthful, but actually easier done than said. So I'm going to yarn over twice again for that first one, and here I'm going to come over to that last one made, that top of the very last one right here below. So it's a little off to the side. We want to come over there, and we want to go around both of those legs because that's all really one stitch. So we want to slip our hook behind that first leg of that post stitch and the second one. We can bring it right up to the top, but that way we can make sure we're getting around the entire stitch. So we yarn over, pull up our loop, start working it off until there are 2 loops left again on the hook, just as before. Yarn over twice again, and then jump over to this next one. And again, just go right under both of those legs, and then you can pull your hook up to the top of the stitch before you yarn over and pull it through, and then finish it off until you've got 3 loops left on the hook, and then of course yarn over and pull through all 3 again. Then of course we skip the stitch, the next stitch in the previous row there, so we don't increase, and work 3 single crochets again. So it's a very similar to that previous round. This time, of course, and from here on out through the rest of the hat, rather than going around individual front post stitches, we'll be going around the tops of these decreases. So you always want to make sure from here on out in the hat, anytime you work one of those stitches, that you go under both legs of the stitches that you're working around 2 rows below. So let's do that together one more time. I've got my 3 stitches there, so we'll yarn over twice. And again, we're going to go around this previous one here that we did before. I'll just again go under both legs, pull up my loop, yarn over, pull through 2 and pull through 2. Then I will yarn over twice again, come on over here to the next one, go under both legs, pull up that loop, yarn over and pull through 2, pull through 2, and with 3 loops left on the hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. And that's our basic repeat. So as we work this one around, you can see by working just one single crochet, it offset it to create that diamond shape. So when we get back around and we work that last set, that last front post treble crochet there over this last set of diamond here, then we'll have 2 single crochets left to work into and join for that third one. So I'll see you when we get right back around there in round 9. All right, so here I am just about at the end of round 9, and I wanted to finish it off with you again. I've got my 3 single crochets made here, and I'm ready for my last front post treble crochet 2 together. So I'll yarn over twice and come back to this previous one, just as I've been doing. Work that off until I have 2 loops left on the hook, yarn over twice again, and come over to, remember that very first one we worked around at the beginning, that's where we want to finish it off to complete our diamond shapes, and work our front post treble off there, like so. Then when we skip the stitch behind it, we've got 2 stitches left in that previous round for those 2 single crochets right there. So then you can join to the top of that first single crochet you made. And again, you've got 60 stitches. Now we've actually made all the rounds that we need for our repeat. Our repeat is rounds 6 through 9. So if you may remember, round 6 was that simple round of double crochet. Round 7 was where we made our first part of the diamonds. And of course, this next time, it will be completing these. So again, there we'd start with a 3 single crochets, and that will be offset enough to complete these. So again, from here on out, you want to make sure to work around both those legs, go under both those legs with your hook, so you can really get that great diamond look. So you'll repeat rounds 6 through 9 until round 17 for the beanie size, or round 21 for the slightly longer slouchy version, or you could do even more if you want an even longer hat. After that, you'll go to the brim instructions, which are the same for both sizes, and it has its own tutorial. Now, I'll demonstrate just a little bit for you right here, but again, go to the link in the description if you need a fuller tutorial for the brim. The technique is the same. Stitch counts, of course, just change depending on how wide a brim you want. So while I started with a chain 8, if you wanted a wider brim or a more narrow brim, you can alter that number to suit yourself. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chains here made. So let me make 3 more. 6, 7, 8. And then I'm going to start by skipping the chain closest to the hook and working into the back loop only. So if we turn our work here, because with the brim, we're going to be working little short rows, I'm going to go into the loop furthest away from me on the top V there for a single crochet, and then do that on down the chain. So there's 2, and we skipped that first chain, so we should have 7 of these total. There's 3. Just take your time. This first row is a little fiddly. 4, 5, 6, and of course 7. That last one's going to be right down here, right by that last row we made. There we go. So with 7 single crochets made, what we want to do is single crochet in the next 2 stitches of the last round of the hat. So we joined to this one, so we're going to not work in that one. We're going to come over to this next one, pull up a loop there, go into the one after that, pull up a loop, 3 loops left on the hook, we yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. Now at this point, I like to give this stitch a little tug back on the working yarn. It really tightens up the stitch and makes it quite short, but that is what we want for this particular hat. So while I didn't pull back on the loop for my other single crochet stitches, on the single crochet 2 together, I find that making that stitch really tight really benefits the look of the stitch overall. So to begin row 2 of the brim, we're going to turn and work back the other way. So it'd be like working from the inside of the hat at this point. We're going to skip that single crochet 2 together we just made, and we're not going to chain. We're just going to instead start working back loop only single crochets in those 7 single crochets we made previously. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and finally 7. There we go. That last one can want to hide, but if you want to use a stitch marker in that last stitch to help you find it, that can be really helpful too. Then we're ready to begin row 3, which we do chain 1 for. Turn to work back the other way here, and again, back loop only, single crochet in those 7 stitches across. So we don't work into that turning chain, but we make 7 single crochets on across until we get down to the other end here. So there's 3, 4, I'm going to try and get centered up a little bit here. Hat's getting big. 5, 6, and 7. Now that 7th one right there, again, can be difficult to find because we just sort of skipped over. We don't have a chaining, or excuse me, a turning chain or anything there, but you just want to look for that very last one hiding out there. Get your hook in there in that back loop only and make your single crochet. Then again, you're ready to find the next 2 stitches of the hat, that last round of the hat. So the next one here, go in and pull up a loop, and go to the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 and tighten it right down. And that's basically the repeat for the brim of the hat. You just keep repeating the previous 2 rows here, coming down and then working back and coming down, working up until you've worked all the way around the hat. And then you can sew the first and last rows together and you've got this great stretchy brim. So now let's take a look at how to make the adult large 22 to 24 inch size. Okay, now I'm going to demonstrate how to make the first few rounds of the adult large 22 to 24 inch size. This one starts the exact same way with a magic circle. And again, I like to use a chainless starting double crochet for my first double crochet of the round, but however you want to get that in there is up to you. The point is, at the end of round 1, to have 16 double crochets worked into the ring. So I will make a chainless starting double crochet for the first one of mine, like so, and then I'm going to make 15 more right back into that ring. And as I mentioned in the previous size, you want to make sure to go under both the ring around your finger and this tail. If you need a closer look at anything I've shown here that has its own tutorial like the magic circle or the chainless starting double crochet, again, those are at the link in the description. So I'm going to continue making my double crochets. Here we go. I can pull it on off my finger until I've got 16 total stitches worked into the ring. So I will see you when I get to that point. Okay, so with 16 double crochets made into the ring, I can pull on that tail, and it helps sometimes to stabilize that inner circle there because you kind of have to give it a little bit of a tug. But there we go. We've got a nice tight circle, so my end is ready to be woven in later. So I'm just going to go ahead and join to that first double crochet made, however you wanted to make it. Could be the top of a chain 3 or the first double crochet if you started with the chain 2, or in my case, the chainless starting double crochet. So now we've got 16 double crochets and we're ready to begin round 2. For round 2, we're going to work 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So again, however you like to begin that is up to you. So with 2 stitches in each of these 16 stitches, we'll have a total of 32 double crochets at the end of round 2. So I'll see you when we get to the end of round 2. All right, so here I am at the end of round 2. I made 2 double crochets into each stitch of the previous round, so I have 32 double crochets total. To begin round 3, I'm going to start with a chain 1, and then I'm going to work 2 single crochets in that first stitch, the one we joined to. So there's 1, 2, then a front post double crochet around the next stitch. So I'll yarn over just once and find the post of the next stitch. So that's the body of the stitch down here. Go right around it with my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over and pull through 2. Then that is our repeat for this round. I simply find the next stitch over, put 2 single crochets in that stitch, 1, 2, and then front post double crochet around the next stitch. Because we're working 2 single crochets into the stitches in between the front post stitches, we'll have an increase, and at the end of round 3, we will have a total of 48 stitches. So keep working this pattern of 2 single crochets in the next stitch, followed by a front post double crochet around the next stitch, and I will see you at the end of round 3. Okay, so here I am at the end of round 3. I've got 48 stitches total. I worked a front post double crochet around that last stitch there and then joined to the first single crochet made. So to begin round 4, we are simply going to start again with a chainless starting double crochet or whatever double crochet substitute you prefer, worked right into that first stitch. So let me get that worked off my hook here. There we are. And after that, we are going to double crochet again in that first stitch. So whichever method you prefer, get 2 double crochets worked into that very first stitch. Then we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. And that right there is our repeat. 2 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, and a double crochet in each of the stitches after that. So we'll repeat that on around so that we have 64 stitches at the end of round 4. We'll just finish that off with a join to the first double crochet made, and we'll be ready to begin round 5 together. So I'll see you when we get to that point. All right, so here I am at the end of round 4. I have 64 double crochets made total, and I've joined to the first double crochet I made. Now I want to point out that at this point, the hat might seem a little wobbly in the size large. We've increased a lot of stitches in a short period of time. However, as we make the sides and this hat turns into a hat shape rather than a flat circle, that will pull the ends in, or the sides rather, in nicely. So don't worry too much about that right now. Let's go ahead and make round 5 together. We're going to start with a chain 1 and a single crochet in the first stitch, like so. And now we're going to work our first front post treble crochet 2 together, working around the last and first front post double crochet stitches made 2 rows below. So since we know this is our first stitch, if we come down here 2 rows below, we know this was the last one of those post stitches made 2 rows below. So we're going to work in front of the previous round and start with yarning over twice and go back to, like I said, to that last post stitch you made at the end of the round 2 rows below. So we go right around that post, yarn over, pull up our loop, yarn over and pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2, like so. Stop when there are 2 loops left on the hook, yarn over twice again, find the next post stitch 2 rows below. You can use your fingers to help feel for it if you can't quite see it. There we are, and we go right around that post, yarn over and pull up our loop, and keep working those off 2 at a time until we have 3 loops left on the hook, like so. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. And that's our first front post treble crochet 2 together. We're going to skip the stitch behind it because I forgot to mention there are 64 stitches in the previous round, and there will be 64 stitches in each remaining round of this size until we get to the brim. So since we don't want to increase, we will skip the stitch behind the decrease we just made, because of course that takes the place of that stitch, and single crochet in the next 3. So there's 1, 2, and 3. Then we make our next front post treble crochet 2 together, and this time we're going to start by working the first leg around the same stitch as the last leg of the previous one of those. So we yarn over twice, come back over to that one right there, go around it again, and you can just work that one right underneath the previous one. Work it off until you have 2 loops left on your hook, yarn over twice, jump over to the next one down here, go around that one, yarn over, work it off until there are 3 loops left again, and yarn over and pull through all 3, like so. Once again, skip the stitch behind it and single crochet in the next 3. So we're just going to continue that all the way around until we get close to the end there. So I will meet you when we get right back around to the end of round 5. But you can see we've started our great little triangle shapes here that will be turning into diamonds shortly. So I will see you at the end of round 5. Okay, so here I am almost finished with round 5. I've got 3 single crochets made, 1 stitch left that I'll end up skipping because I have my last front post treble crochet 2 together to make. And I wanted to make that with you guys right now. So we're going to yarn over twice, and I'm going to go over again that last post stitch that we finished our last decrease in. There we go. So we've got that one right there. And then when I yarn over again twice, I want to finish up by going in the first one we worked around when we made the very first front post treble crochet 2 together of the round. We went around this one down here, so that's where we want to put the second leg of the very last one so that it completes the stitch pattern. When you've got 3 loops, of course, left on the hook, work that off. Again, skip that last stitch and join with a slip stitch to the first single crochet. So that is round 5, and you can see we've started our triangles together, and they're a little squished right now, but again, as we work, those will spread out a little bit and form the great hat shape. After this, rounds 6 through 9 are the repeat, that create the look of our hat. And those are identical to the adult small size, so I've already demonstrated those. The only difference between the small and the large is that with the large, instead of 60 stitches, we have 64 stitches around. So the stitch count is different, but otherwise 6 through 9 are exactly the same. And again, you'll work that repeat until round 17 if you want a closer fitting beanie, or through round 21 if you want a slouchier version, or even further if you want a super slouchy hat. After that, again, the brim is identical to the previous size with a chain 8 and worked back and forth. And again, it has its own tutorial. So you can flip back to see a little bit of that on the adult small when you watch round 6 through 9, or you can go to the tutorial specifically for this brim style that is linked at the link in the description. Okay, so here I've got the finished hat again. You can see it's a brim about this wide with that chain 8 version. So if you want a narrower brim, again, you can adjust that, or a wider brim, whatever you prefer. And then of course, when it's all done, if you want to add the snap-on pom-pom, let me get my fingers in there. It is a nice secure snap, I will tell you what. There we go. I've just sewn that on the snap portion with matching thread, and of course I can pop that off to put it in the wash or to change colors if I desire. So that's the basics of the diamond crochet hat. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that it helps you make your own. And also don't forget to check out the matching cowl. Again, follow the link in the description for everything you need to make this pattern in either size and in either length. Thank you to Red Heart Yarn and Laurel Hill for providing the materials for this pattern. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.